What's up guys, I'm Hendo and today I'm showing you how to paint a bandit gun from Borderlands 2. This build is a collaboration with evic.com, so I'm using a real airsoft gun as the base. But you can use pretty much anything since this is just a painting technique. I'm using an SR-PDW-K 3D printed kit and a Generation 4 Glock 17. This is part of my full Maya cosplay, which you can see a video for up here when it's ready. I'll also have a tutorial for painting a Malmoan gun, which you can see up here when that's ready too. Okay, let's get to painting. First, I'm going to sand the entire surface just a bit with a fine grit sanding sponge. The residue is also really fine, so I'm actually using a Swiffer cloth to get all the residue off. Now that the surface is clean, I can prime it with a flat gray primer. I don't plan on having this gun be functional, I'm just using it for cosplay. However, if you still want it to be functional, just make sure that you take extra care so that all the parts still function. Be sure to get the sides too. Now let's get a base coat of bright purple. Don't forget to paint in a well-ventilated area, and even though I couldn't find mine, you should definitely use a respirator. Do as I say, not as I do. Listen to me. Now it's time for the good stuff. Cel-shading! I'm painting this airsoft gun like the purple bandit gun from the game. It's characterized by bluish teal weathering and some bright neon details. I'm gonna brush the teal mainly on the edges. Stipple it on with rough strokes, it shouldn't be too blended. I'm also laying teal on some of the details of the gun, like bolts and rails, so that they really pop. Next, I'm adding a more magenta shade of purple so that the base isn't quite so flat. The Borderlands games are characterized by lots of blotchy, rough color depth. I also want the Glock portion of the gun to stand out a little bit, so I'm weathering that part in a slightly bluer neon shade. Cel-shading is just applying a 2D look to 3D rendered objects, but most people think of this awesome cartoony black outlining when they think of cel-shading. And with all the color down, that's what we get to do next. I'm mostly using a small flat brush and black acrylic paint to follow grooves and create thick outlines. I'm using a smaller pointy brush for smaller spaces and lots of details. Once everything is well outlined, we're gonna add some smaller details. I'm adding some random black spots to outline some of that neon weathering. One or two of these hatch lines are what's gonna help make it look really cartoony and definitely defines the Borderlands art style. I'm adding them mostly to the bright neon sides where it's gonna be extra visible. Once all the black outlining is done, I can go back and clean up some of those neon details. Adding that bright neon to bolts and other parts of the gun really make those components pop. I'm also adding thicker spots of shading to the inside of the gun just to create a smidge more depth. Finally, I'm going to add those white tally marks. First I'm marking where they go, and then I'm outlining them a little bit thicker. The marks actually shouldn't look too neat, so no need to be super careful. And here's a quick and satisfying side-by-side of all that paintwork. The final step is to add a finishing layer. You can add a matte, satin, semi-gloss, or gloss finish to your gun. It just depends on what you want. I want it to be shiny but also durable since I'm going to be handling it a lot as a cosplayer. I'm going to use a thick glossy layer that's lacquer, which is actually used to finish things like chairs and tables that get used a lot. I'm going to give it 3 to 5 coats so it's nice and thick. It's super shiny now, but will actually dry a little bit less wet looking. And that's it for the BANDIT gun. This is a real airsoft gun, and more importantly, it looks real. So make sure you're careful when you're handling it or taking it outside. You don't want to cause any injury or alarm. I'm going to make sure that I practice good trigger safety, and I'm probably going to avoid bringing it to public places. For me, it'll just be conventions and private shoots. With that in mind, I'm ready to become Maya and slack some enemies. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you want to see me make next, and until next time, I'm Hendo. Thanks for crafting with me.